As I think Shreyanshi ka message I should be not there today.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So I'll just recap what we had read on Friday. Um, just go one paragraph before. All Jeevans are identical, and therefore all the Jeevans within all humans are inherently alike. What defines this sameness? It becomes evident that all Jeevans share the same capacity for understanding Jeevan, evidencing knowledge, comprehending existence, and evidencing coexistence. So we had left off from Friday at this point, and then now the capacity for understanding does not reside in any part of the body, whether hands, legs, ears, nose, eyes, brain, or heart. This capacity solely exists within Jivan. The Jivan alone possesses the ability to comprehend itself and coexistence. Nothing else possesses this capability. So yeah, we are saying that the sum of things is always more than the individual things. So here the hands and legs and ears and eyes are all part of a system as such. And the understanding cannot rely on one particular place or one particular point. It is just a combination of all these things that the Jivan experiences and Jivan learns and understands also. So the meaning of this is that the Jivan is coexisting with the body, and hence even the science has always been baffled at this point because it was always trying to think that the brain is understanding or the brain is the reason of personality or of ambition and goals and all these kind of words. But now we are seeing that some of them may be like we can learn, but then ultimately what is learning is not the brain, but it is the Jivan that is learning. And what I'm able to understand from this is that the brain just processes all the various types of inputs, be it from other humans or activities that we see, hear, touch, sense, all these five senses. And the Jivan is solely learning from all this external, like a computer system and external peripherals. And that's how it's actually sort of getting the inputs and then projecting the output also, be it with speech or with action or with, the limbs doing the action or the, uh, that I think typically there are many ways of saying or projecting what we are thinking. Um, I believe there is some non-verbal communication also, which happens with the facial expressions and all that. So that is all the Jeevan now projecting what it has, what it wants to convey based on what it has understood. So Jeevan alone possesses the ability to comprehend itself and coexistence. So again, this sentence itself that Jeevan itself understands itself and coexistence. So now again, this point also highlights that if if it is not taught, then it will not understand. Because if it is able to understand, that means that it would be acting like it from the beginning. So many questions arise to the new people that how comes the Jivan was not in orderliness from beginning. And I think the answer to that is because the way we are given something to the brim of freedom, we are also given the freedom of choosing. What do we choose? Do we choose a partitioning ourselves from existence, or do we choose to see the reality, which is that we are part of existence? So I think clearly we are existing and coexisting with everything else, but some of us, in fact, most of us, are not accepting this reality, and we are partitioning ourselves, our house, our things, our you know area and of expertise, and we are not able to comprehend or even allowing some people or some objectives to go above that. So this is a very interesting point that the Jivan will understand itself and coexistence. That also becomes evident through like knowledge, and without knowledge, we will still be like stuck in the materialistic world or in the influenced by the Adarshavad, as we said. Nothing possesses this capability, like no other organ or no other entity possesses this ability. Uh, Thus, we deduce that the combined form of Jivan and body is necessary for manifesting, evidencing, the understanding. It would neither occur solely by the body nor solely by Jivan. Exist evidence of understanding is exemplified through humans living in orderliness and their participation in universal orderliness, which is the embodiment of understanding itself. Okay. So this again, it's basically saying that we can conclude from this that for evidencing the understanding, it can be done through the combination of the Jivan and the body. So again, we are also guided that it learns through the Jivan and the body, and it also evidences through the Jivan and the body. It would neither occur solely by the body nor solely by the Jivan. Okay. So basically, it also means that without the orderliness of the matter, the plant, the animals, the Jivan would be staying at a stalemate. It would not advance, or evolution would not happen of the soul or the Jivan. And thus, it is, of course, as we know that we are experiencing time, but there is no such thing as time, and hence that the Jivan will be just stuck in a sort of a limbo where there is no advance or evolution going on. And yeah, so indeed, I think that's what the state was when the earth was being prepared for our Jivan to come along. We were just maybe in some sort of limbo. Where is that place? We also don't know. So many Jivans are some at some point somewhere, and now that the evolution of the earth has happened, now the Jivan are able to take the birth and learn and evidence the same. So, okay, evidence of understanding is exemplified through in humans living in orderliness and their participation in universal orderliness, which is the embodiment of the understanding itself. So again, universal orderliness, it's just not orderliness, maybe it's just not orderliness in our family or in our house or in our society. It is, again, Babaji is always projected of a universal way of thinking, global way of thinking. And this is again exemplified here with his words that the Jivan will be in orderliness, that if I can do something here, then that can be also be replicated elsewhere. This is actually a scientific phenomenon where some things can be repeatable. That is one of the basic prerequisites of scientific theory or a scientific invention, or like one of those formulas that you say that even if you do the formula in India, the result will be the same when you do it somewhere else. So again, this is a very interesting and profound way of understanding, because this all this that we are learning here can be seen, that it can be applied to globally. Everyone and anyone can understand this that way. There is no fragmentation in such. The humans are one, and that's what has been always been conveyed by Babaji. Anybody has any sort of question or query? Shall I go on?
Yes, but yeah, it's clear. Everything is very much clear.
Mm, yeah.
Mm. So it's indicated by this paragraph that it is the Jeevan who understands. But you
Mm.
rightly said, uh, when Jeevan comes in the combined form of body,
Mm.
it's not already having this kind of knowledge of coexistence. It has to be learned slowly
Mm.
and slowly.
Yeah,
So that was a very good point you have
yeah,
uh, indicated.
yeah.
And
I
yes,
think.
of
Mm.
course, the evidencing of understanding is through participation of human being in ordinary, in
Mm.
self orderliness, as well as the participation in the universal orderliness. So this again is a very good point.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think there is no other conclusion that I am able to come up to as into why a bird will build a nest, particularly the way it is doing for maybe thousands of years. But we are building houses every year, like there is some sort of modification, the way we build houses. So again, we can see the imagination is there coming to the light. And I think that to give space for imagination, or I would say freedom, total freedom means that basically you are not tied and bound by any sort of laws or any sort of not to say laws, but to any sort of pre-mapping, if that is the right word. We are not pre-mapped to do anything. We are always being taught. And again, this is a blessing also in disguise, because if something can be like structured by understanding, that means that this philosophy can be also scaled to the whole of humanity. And indeed, the whole of humanity can come up to a point that they will say, okay, we all need these values, we all need to understand the relationships, and then now we are all going to coexist. So this again is saying is a natural way of the whole philosophy to go and move ahead, because there is a sort of no preconditions or pre-mapping that is there. Indeed, if we look at other Schwad or the primitive way of thinking, most of the, like, just we are working on this thing called war, and unnecessarily event for the united mankind. We can see that so many wars have been fought in the name of religion also. So again, religion is again pre-mapping. Like, we pre-map some children, we tell them that their religion is the best one, and then they grow up and then they keep on thinking that again and again. And now suddenly there is some extremism. I was reading one of the passages from the people who have sent their entries. They are saying that one of the reasons of this wars is like religious beliefs, and terrorism is also part of that. So again, war, and for the sake of human beings of being a particular type of religion, they are taking extreme steps and taking the lives in the name of predefined mapping. So that again is also another thing that we are seeing, that this philosophy is also canceling out, and it is saying that everything is in coexistence. And as we will read again, as the next sentence is exactly that. Um, all of us live in orderliness, and the natural
Neelam,
streams. Uh,
Neelam Didi want to say something.
yes, 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 please.
So, Bhaiya, you gave this example. I was just thinking that uh, that means, see, I remember in some of the lecture of Jeevan Vidya that I attended, it says that what uh, is there with Jeevan is the sanskar, or whatever the knowledge that has been manifested or put in, that goes along in your future journey.
Mm.
So, whatever happens, whatever bad is happening, or whatever thoughts that are happening, is it just that when we take birth and we are surrounded by these pre mappings that you said, is it because of that we get these conditionings? Because
Yeah.
if only sanskar, and sanskar is the right thing, so if
Mm.
that is only carry forward, then this comes only if we are surrounded by such. Is it that's what I'm trying to
I, I
un-
think I think if we have to zoom out a little bit, because if we see it, or if we read it correctly, it's said that animals do have jivan. Said like animals like dogs and cows and camels, and basically some it is linked with a memory. Like, if you can recall something, or someone for that matter, then it is said that the Jivan resides in that body. And that's why some animals don't have Jivan, that is also classified, and they're just existing in the sheer present and omnipotent power that is. So the animals, they're just existing because of these powers. But when we look at the Jivan, they are there in the animals, and even today we can see that there are cattle, there are dogs, and there are cows and cats and all these kind of things. So I mean, it might be the way I'm understanding until now. What I've said is that I would have understood is that the Jivans that are surrounding the human beings, like they are around us, they feel that they want to know something extra. They want to feel the Jivan itself requires that or asks for that, and that's how they get birth in the human form. So we should not forget that there are already so many Jivans that are already in the lower stage. And now, once achieves the human stage, then it is evolving all the time. So the question now remains that are we evolving as human beings? Because there is a backload of Jivans already in the animal kingdom who are existing in a body. And now what is happening also, I heard it from somebody, I don't know exactly who had told this, but because we are taking the lives of animal species, or we are taking the habitat rather of the animal species, these Jivan are directly coming into the human form, and then there is no way of like ridding the jaggedness or the bluntness rather, not the jaggedness, but the bluntness of what is right and what is wrong. So then the surrounding takes over, and then the surrounding is there because there is no preconditioning from before. As you said, there is no sanskar from before. Then the Jivan is just surrounded by something, and they are suddenly finding it, okay, we should be, doing this because this is the right thing to do. And that's how the Jivan keeps on finding that kind of group then, and that kind of group are just exemplifying that when they grow up, they will become the bigger thugs or the bigger extremists or the bigger business exploiters and all those kind of things. So this is just my understanding from concluding from listening to all of the kind of discourses I've had before. And that first thing that the Jivan, there is a backlog of Jivan, like that is in the animal kingdom. Second thing, we are destroying the habitat of the animals. So suddenly the Jivan wants to come to the earth, but there is no place other than the human being. So there is a backload which is pushing the Jivan to incarnate, and they are coming as humans. And now, since there is no predefined sanskar, so number three, the sanskar is not there. So they're just, surrounded by the market forces are taking over, and they're just, um, of course, Jivan wants to be happy. That is always there. And that is one of the things that the market forces are able to take over, because until now they don't know what is right, they don't know what is wrong, but they're saying that the market is saying such. You wear the better clothes, the better car, the bigger jets. You start rapping and you sing, and everybody starts rapping, and we can see a culture of Indians where there are so many people who are starting to sing, and they're just going in a way of projecting their anger and their uh, all these things with their music. And then we are seeing that they're extremists also in their other kind of fields. There is art which is also not able to convey anything good, but there is just obscenity in it. So even the movies, we can see there is no sort of I heard this in Manoj Bhai Solanki's lecture once, that in the movies before that were like 50 years ago, there was always a farmer community which was shown into the movies, like some scene of the cow being fed by the farmer, and there was a farmer parivar, and the farmer goes to work, and then he comes back, and then he washes his hands and clothes and all this, sorry, his hands, and then he eats, and he sits down and he eats with the children playing and all that. So those kind of scenes were there in the movies. But slowly and slowly you can see that even though the India is a very agriculture uh,
I agree
obsessed.
with you.
Yeah, but then there is no scenes as such. There is no scene of glorification of the farmer, and this is somehow a very poor way of showing what is more than, I don't know exactly, but maybe more than 50% at least, where there are farmers in India still, and still they are not showing this side of where the farmers are joyful, or the farmers are the highest occupation of Indian society. So it is a push,
That,
basically. है ना? There is a
that
push
is
somewhere
a
from
push of thoughts that development is connoted.
mm,
being rich and having a lot of wealth, property. So that could be one. But my
mm,
point is, now, okay,
mm,
in Adarshvad, in idealism, it is said that that's how it happens. The Jeevan, if it is into it is got some animal conscious, it can go back to animal
mm,
birth. But
mm,
if I'm not mistaken, that's what not Madhyas Darshan doesn't say that. I think so.
ah,
Someone can clarify. What I wanted to know is if sanskar is only carry forward in a
mm,
Jeevan,
mm,
and second Jeevan is Gatan Purna. It is already fully atom, complete
mm,
atom.
mm,
Then it is and maybe once a man first came into existence, so maybe later on that abhas, that is intuitions or some kind of imaginations creeped in. but
mm,
uh, but what I want to ask is, once the human race has evolved,
mm,
then why there is this animal conscious still with that? First, second, is
mm,
it only because of the external thing
mm,
that is uh, majorly affecting a human jivan? Is it that?
mm,
Because if sanskar is always carry forward, then
ah,
some or the other way, truth or the satya will be touched by every human, I
yeah.
feel.
Maybe
So,
how I can answer this is that maybe the jivans that are in orderliness. Now let's understand what I'm trying to say is that in orderliness means in coexistence. So the jivans that are in orderliness or have some orderliness or basically sanskar, those jivans are maybe incarnating in other places where there is that much effort needed there. Because if you look at the backlot, as I said, you are asking that why then the sanskar is not carried forward, right? So I am also saying that there is a way that this sanskar jivans or who have achieved that kind of height of like they know what is coexistence or they it realizes the coexistence. They're able to transport themselves outside this even this galaxy system, and they are maybe
that
taking
we are
birth there.
talking about the probably the Divya Manas.
Ah,
What we are
exactly.
talking, I am talking at least being a human
Mm,
conscious, a
mm,
human conscious. What I'm trying to say,
yeah.
if that Jeevan we have come up, then
Mm,
what is missing? Like, why
mm,
is the sanskar not carry forward, and why still we have that animal consciousness with us? So it
ah,
is maybe what Babaji is saying, that is why the Vatavaran has to make means
yeah.
literally we are affected only by the outside thing. There is nothing which is inside. I mean, inside in the sense, it could
Yes.
be the form of religion or the knowledge that has been transpired and transferred from generation to generation.
Mm,
So why there has not been that transfer of gyan? If there is a gyan being transferred, the knowledge being transferred, then why
mm,
this animal consciousness? I always get this. So that
mm,
is why I somewhere feel that the idealism where they're saying that something gets reincarnated into animal kingdom also, which I don't
mm,
think Babaji somewhere has mentioned. I'm
mm,
not sure. So if
mm,
anyone else can, like, I don't know.
mm.
Let me
I have
try.
my
Let
Ah,
me
doubts.
try. Yes,
fine.
yes.
Brilliant.
Let me try, Bhaiya. Uh,
Mm,
what Nilam Didi is asking, why still we have the animal consciousness? The
mm,
answer to this is we are not aware what we were in the during the last birth or even in the previous birth. So it may
Hmm.
be that some of us may be animal in previous or before that. So that
Hmm.
consciousness is still there, that
Hmm.
that that consciousness of animal is still there in spite of the fact that we have taken birth in the form of human. Now
Hmm.
a consciousness is there but it is not developed. That is why we are talking about consciousness development. It is not developed. Some
Hmm.
of us we have a better understanding, have a good environment, and it's developing or it is developed, but for most of us the environment is not good. Now under the bad environment there is still a possibility a person can be good. It depends that the person should have a very strong determination. Like I know some of the examples, Example of, you can say, Charlie Chaplin is also there, whose atmosphere at his home was not good. Parents
Hmm.
were divorced. He was
Hmm.
having a very bad condition, miserable condition. Still, he was able to make the world laugh. So
Hmm.
that this happens to those people only who have a very strong determination. बुद्धि का जो पार्ट है ना, that part of बुद्धि, there is
Hmm.
sankalp or ritambara or the sankalp.
Correct.
Once
Correct.
you and me will raise that level, that we have the determination that we will not be affecting by the outside atmosphere. Rather, we will be affecting the atmosphere. Like Babaji said that they opened a school in Bijnor where students were able to affect the environment rather than they were getting affected. So, Neelam Didi, what I understand, animal consciousness is there in most of us, but with determination, we can overcome it.
Okay.
Determination is required. Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. And you and me, suppose, have the determination, but there is no guarantee the people around us have the determination. So the environment is bad also. They are getting affected by that bad environment. That is why there is no much improvement in their character or in their behavior. But yes, it will happen with determination only. Once we have the determination that yes, I have to live like a human being, I have to live in orderliness, I have to live in harmony, and I have to create harmony around me. So that
Correct.
is why I have what I have understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little bit, yes, I could relate to it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing that it might be that Babaji has also said this once that we are actually lazy in the sense the Jeevan itself is not exactly how shall I say it there is no prerequisite for the Jeevan to evolve as such. It is evolving, and basically the proof of that is that we are taking so long to even fix the planet's position on global warming, because I mean everybody knows about global warming. It's not a rocket science, and it's also not something new. It's going on for maybe tens of maybe 2 or 3 decades actually, rather than just tens of years. But it's still not implemented. People are not still realizing. People still want to purchase the air conditioners rather than to grow trees around them. I'm just saying this offhand, but this is coming to that point only, that we are as a Jeevan sometimes wanting to find the easy way out. We don't want to go to the long road which is towards the success or towards the evolution. So we always find shortcuts, and I think this is where we have always failed, because until Babaji was giving this darshan, till then we were always trying to find the shortcuts, the short routes. Money was the best example, that all of us started fetching money and grasping the money of left, right, and center, and that thought that that will bring the happiness. Then we realized, okay, the people who have money also, they are not happy, they're having the issues, they are having their types of issues, they cannot shop around, they cannot walk around like normal human beings, they have to be under, so they are always under surveillance. So then the Jeevan also realizes this, and then it reincarnates in a poor family maybe. So Jeevan is going from left and right, from that goalpost to that other goalpost. But the reasoning of coexistence was just recently discovered. So I think that is one of the way we can say that why and how Jeevan is not being able to find the right path, or to stick to the right path rather, because it has always been I think that is the answer rather. It has always been dwindling or penduluming between the idealism and the materialism. So it has never found the right word or right way of living until now. So that's might be one of the best way of saying it. That why we are not
If
able
your
to do
search is on,
it.
sometimes you are definitely going to get the right path. Like we can, after living a lot of life so far, I
Mm,
can now say from the last 2 years, I have got something where I am
mm,
getting the answers. Prior
mm,
to that, I was in idealism, still
mm,
finding answers were not getting, or I
mm,
got very few answers. But now I can say now it's better. It's better now. I can get so many answers, and whatever confusions are still there, they will also be resolved with more research and with more conversation with the people who have understood it in a better way.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. So good discussion, I guess. Clarity comes upon as when we ponder the things, and yeah, indeed, we have all of us our two cents to share. Uh, our young viewers, if would like to ask something or share.
Now, you see, Neelam Didi, uh,
Mm.
determination or sankalp, it's not easy. Close to 40 people joined this group. How many are attending regularly?
Mm.
Only four, five, six. And
नहीं,
that,
your this message and Janak bhai, when he gave the example of this merely growing trees, I totally understand within me. If I know where I have not determined to give my bhagidari in those things, so yes, I have to ponder and where is the missing thing. So it is definitely that this concept is still not fixed within me and there is no determination.
Yeah.
So yes, truly.
Yeah, culmination of not non-determination and I think the laziness of the soul, not the laziness of the body as such, but the laziness of the soul, finding the easy way out, and that's how it has always been. But people like Babaji have come on this earth, and I'm sure that his Jivan is not directly come from some sort of animal, but rather his Jivan was evolved in the sense he stuck to the orderliness. Why is there no orderliness? How can there be orderliness? And then he found the correct way of looking at. So we are not looking for orderliness. I think we are looking for just happiness, and then we find it in short bursts, and we stick with those short bursts. And even in idealism, there is this way of projecting that if you do this much penance, you will get this much of reward, this much of sadhana you do, you will achieve this state of samadhi, and this much you do, you will get this kind of siddhi. So there is a sort of like a carrot dangling in front of the donkey, even in idealism, and the same with materialism, obviously. Like if you have this much crores in your bank, then you will be able to buy anything that you want, for example. That is the ideal, there's a word for it, I'm forgetting. But basically, if you have that much crores, I think the figure is something like 40 crores, then you are set. You can buy anything you want anytime. And that is what everybody wants to achieve suddenly now, that figure. So
Mhm.
happiness again not clearly defined, coexistence again not wasn't clearly defined, and now we are finding that there is permanent happiness which is in resolution, and that resolution is in finding yourself, your jivan, your embodiment also, which is coexisting with everything else, and that is the understanding that we are supposed to be giving to the Jivan, and then the Jivan understanding that will evidence the same with other peoples, with other human beings, and will act accordingly to that with the mind and with the reasoning to project the same into the reality of their lives and indeed the life of others and society and yeah, the world.
Yes, Bhaiya, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, we
So
can continue now. Yes.
uh,
Should I read, Bhaiya?
yeah, yeah, you can read. Yes, sure.
Okay. In the course of understanding coexistence, it becomes clear that existence itself is coexistence because nature saturated, that is immersed, soaked, and surrounded in omnipotence, that is omnipresent, constitutes the entire existence. So here it is said that in the course of it becomes clear that existence itself is coexistence.
Mm,
So existence without coexistence is not possible. One
mm,
thing.
mm,
And what is existence? That is nature saturated, that is immersed, soaked, and surrounded, Duba Biga Gira in omnipotence, Satta mein,
mm,
which is Vyapak, constitutes the entire existence. तो entire existence क्या है? वो भी अपने आप में coexistence है. And that of saturated things as well as omnipresence, omnipotence. Nature is in the form of entities that can be counted. Humans are the ones who count. The countable entities include all sentient and insentient. So both sentient as well as insentient are the countable things which are in the omnipotence or omnipresence.
mm,
So that they are the countable things, and a human being is the
mm,
one who counts.
mm. Very true.
So that means they are units basically. Everything,
Mm.
whether it is sentient or insentient, our consciousness as well as our body, all are units. They can be counted. There
Mm.
exists a simple formula. Humans are happy with understanding and unhappy as long as they dwell in ignorance or animal consciousness.
Mm.
Very clear.
Yeah.
What is basically bondage is
Yeah.
ignorance or
Yeah.
animal consciousness. And
Mm.
once we have the understanding, we will be happy.
Mm.
Through history, humanity has grappled with various challenges. Initially, the struggle was against the forces of nature and wild animal. Subsequently, people sought happiness through practices such as penance, yoga, or asceticism. Asceticism. Yet these endeavors failed to yield any evidence of sustained happiness and tradition of happiness could not be established.
Mm.
यानी पहले जो योग और तप
Mm.
या सन्यासी बनकर जो लोग कोशिश करते थे हैप्पीनेस को अचीव करने, अभी भी करते हैं। अभी हमने
Mm.
कुंभ में देख ही लिया, चाहे
Mm.
वो नागा साधु हैं, घोरी हैं, या कितनी
Mm.
तरह के साधु हैं। तो
Mm.
वो ये कोशिश कर ही रहे हैं, दे आर ट्राइंग देयर बेस्ट टू गेट अचीव हैप्पीनेस थ्रू
Mm.
these practices. Yet this endeavor failed to yield any evidence of sustained
Sustained
happiness.
happiness. Very important.
And
Yeah.
the tradition of happiness could not be established. Or
Established.
tradition was not
Mm.
established. This is the negative point of doing something which is individuality. Na?
Mm. Yeah.
Pathak Bhaiya often say it is everything is like individual or
Mm.
hyper individuality, like
Mm.
those who are going for the uh, asceticism. So
Yeah.
that thing is not a solution for the society.
Yeah.
Another belief, okay, Bhaiya. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
continue
Yeah.
or want to discuss
Yeah,
something?
because I just wanted to mention that as Anila Babu was asking that how comes it's not clear that if the sanskara and Jeevan is keeping on reincarnating in the human form in the on the world, then how comes this is not being evidenced? So here again, the simple things I think are being evidenced. As I mean, when I say simple thing is like basically behavior of a society where we have family, we have relations. Those I think are still being evidenced, as in a brother and a sister, a mother and a father. Although sometimes we hear on the news also those relationships are being defaulted. I just read recently that some person in the US he learned he went to study there, and then when he came back in the south, he killed his grandfather because there was some small dispute of property division or something. So he killed his grandfather, and this is happening like not often, but it has started to happen also in this culture of ours. So again, at least there is some sort of basic sanskar, as you said, that there is some sort of respect or reverence in the way that we are living. But still, sustained happiness is not there. So the sanskar jivan is coming about. It is recognizing it's how it's supposed to live. It is staying in those boundaries as such, and it is finding the sort of glimpses of happiness. But just recently, as we said, that Babaji is passing, and the books that we have in front of us, it has not been even, I think, Bhaiya, how many years should it be? Like maybe 50 years? No, not less than that, I think, right? The books published and all that.
Hmm.
Less than that. So we
Less than
definitely
50.
so
Less
and
than 50.
there are so many human beings. I mean, and they are still संस्कार अनुषंगी से वो व्यवस्था में या relationships में तो सही से तो रह ही रहे already. So that is there. That is completely not animalistic that we are living. But हाँ, when it comes to permanence of that, when it comes to expansion of that, they will just look at their family and their this thing well-being or their societal well-being at most. So that is the lacking that has Babaji has opened up now. So definitely now it should go very smoothly the way I'm seeing it. Yes, we are. I think we are in this. We are from here, right? We have to read from here. Yeah. Shall I read, Bhaiya? Bhaiya,
Okay, Bhaiya, should I
uh,
read?
yeah. If it's okay with you, or maybe
Uh,
who else wants to read? Shivangi, would you like to read? She's not unmuting, so
No, no,
maybe.
no. Yes, yes. I'll read.
Okay. Yeah.
This highlighted part, right?
Huh.
Everyone should participate if possible. If
Huh.
possible.
Very
Yes,
good.
yes.
If possible, all should read sometimes. Yes.
So another belief arose that amassing material wealth and seeking comfort would bring happiness, only to be disillusioned by its inefficacy. It became evident upon reflection that understanding leads to resolution, and resolution begets happiness. This understanding manifests as righteous work and behavior.
Mm.
Humans are united in the right and divided in the wrong.
Mm.
It is not possible for you to agree or concur with my wrong, nor is it possible for me to agree or concur with your wrong. That which is wrong is as wrong for you as it is for me. We are united in the right.
Uh,
This I have
mm.
understood. Our well being becomes assured only in, from, and for the understanding. It is only through understanding that we become happy and prosperous. With
Mm.
understanding, we live
Mm.
orderly in our uh, orderly
The
in the
present.
present, and it is through understanding that we establish coexistence as a tradition. There
Mm.
are four stages of happiness: living with resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. We
Mm.
become happy when these four aspects are evident in our lives.
Mm.
Until we achieve these four, we keep striving to establish the tradition of understanding.
Mm.
In this pursuit, humans have engaged in various practices such as chanting, penance, prayer, recitation of scriptures, yoga, and yajna.
Yagna.
Yeah, we have amassed many material things, but this hasn't resulted in happiness for all.
Mm.
For universal happiness, humans must become wise. Understanding can be instilled in everyone.
Mm.
The final step is understanding existence, which consists of four orders.
Mm.
Material order. This includes soils, stones, gems, metals, etc.,
Mm.
all of which exhibit definite conduct.
Mm.
Biological order. This encompasses all trees, plants, vegetation, medicinal herbs, etc., which also demonstrate their respective definite conducts.
Mm.
Animal order. This includes all animals and birds, excluding humans, and these too show inherent orderliness.
Mm.
Knowledge order. This is comprised solely of humans who are yet to achieve orderliness.
Mm.
Consider this: the most developed order, knowledge order, is lagging behind all others. What does this imply? It implies that humans are suffering because they have not yet attained the developed form of consciousness.
Mm.
Therefore, our consciousness needs to develop to reflect our evolved status.
Mm. I think
Each entity,
we can take a pause and maybe reflect on what we have read. So the last paragraph, which is starting from here, what are the four orders? I think it's quite clear, the four orders and how the last order being the best, or what is the word they've used? Considered the most developed order is still lagging behind. So definitely that is the case, which is right now. And that is clear that these four orders are in orderliness, be it the atoms, they are in orderliness in the sense that they will be existing there in their innate nature for millions of years. So that is its cyclicity, that is its way of existing, and bringing orderliness, right? That is the basic foundation of anything and everything, like any stuff that is made of in this existence. And then we come down to the biological order, and then that is the plants and the trees and all that. And their innate being is to multiply. So that also happens through the seeds or through the dispersion of seeds, and it just has this innate ability to multiply. That is how its cyclicity will keep on continuing. And indeed, that is the way that we are also surviving, because we have been begetting these seeds as a form of food or as a form of shelter. Even some of the things that we make are because of the bamboos, or because of the things that we are continuing with the seeds. So biological order also being sustained and with their innate nature to multiply. Then the animal order is to survive. So for their order, their conduct is also in orderliness, in the sense that they are there to survive. They are there to keep some species in check. There was a great story that Mahendra Bhaiya had, the small documentary that Mahendra Bhaiya had said that if you kill the highest predator, it also disembalances everything else, and it was a very nice story. Let me just show it to you quickly how these animals also bring orderliness. Like the wolf keeps the gazelles or some sort of animal like that. I think it was an antelope or the gazelles. One of those were kept in check. Their population was kept in check by the wolves. And then the wolf was basically hunted down for whatever reason and they were moved or something like that. And now suddenly the gazelles started to multiply extra, and there was no grass for them left in that area. So suddenly, because of the wolf disappearing, all the grass was depleted, and because of that, all the vegetation was completely gone, and that the gazelles also died off. So it was like a self-proclaimed injury. Like the antelopes were killing themselves by overeating, and then the predators were there to balance it out. So the animal kingdom has its own orderliness to bring in the area of existence. Their way of controlling their especially the predators, their way of controlling the species is to bring orderliness. So that's also another thing. You will never see an obese animal, and you will never see a lot of particular type of animals in a particular place. Um, of course, there are mass breakouts like the plagues of the past were carried by the mice or the mouse. And that was because we had storage capacities for holding the grain and all those kind of things. So when we do that, when we hoard some things, when we store something, we are giving the way to these other animals to multiply. And also in Australia, I think there was a very big breakout some years ago of mice and rats. And suddenly, this was because there was a lot of heat in that area. The environment was conducive. The farmers had a lot of grain lying around in their farms. And these rats used to bury themselves in the ground, and they were keeping themselves warm at that time. And then when the wheat was growing up in abundance, they would go and eat that wheat and then destroy the crops also. So exploitation of everything and in disbalancing of everything, this is what happens, that there is some sort of uh, animal that comes and balances this out, and it tries to bring down the inequality, because we are always doing the plantations. I mentioned it in one of my videos also. We are not being in orderliness with nature. When we do plantations, we do it for thousands of acres, and that is not the way that nature intends it. So for that, the orderliness comes in the multiplication of these other species, like the rats. Then they come and then they eat that food that we have grown for ourselves, or we want to export, or whatever it is. So we have to understand orderliness. We have to understand what is existence really there. We should not just focus on profits and GDP and all those kind of things. So yeah, I thought of just mentioning that. Um, I will just go a little bit further. 4 stages of happiness: living with resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. So maybe we can discuss that. I think everything above was quite easy to understand, but I would not like to skip it if it's just yeah, I don't think there is anything hard here to understand. Subsequently, people sought happiness through practices such as penance, yoga. As I said, people were trying to get some sort of samadhi, some sort of siddhi, and that means that some sort of you get the penance and you get some sort of powers, supernatural powers. So that was also the carrot in front of the donkey. That if you do this many years of or this much japas, then you will get this kind of this thing powers. That again also depicts inequality, because then not everybody can do that, and you are also yielding that sort of siddhis for your own benefits only ultimately. So there is no coexistence in that as such. Okay. Another belief was that amassing material wealth and seeking comfort would bring happiness. Again, this is also seen that the wealthy are actually realizing that their wealth is not adding to their security or adding to their well-being. So we are always on the hunt for the rich people messing up somewhere, and they are always also realizing that they would rather be normal people and ordinary people rather than being under the lens of the camera all the time and being photographed and being taken for this thing that they are not able to project uh, their desires openly because of their wealth. This understanding manifests as righteous work and behavior. So it's become evident. I'll just continue from here. It's become evident upon reflection that understanding leads to resolution, and resolution begets happiness. So this is a very beautiful sentence here. That reflection of uh, the materialistic world and the idealism. It has been from that we can reflect that understanding only leads to resolution. So this is very easily understood. And that resolution begets happiness. So yeah. Humans are divided in the right and divided in the wrong. Humans are united in the right and divided in the wrong. It is not possible for you to agree or concur with my wrong, nor is it possible for me to agree or concur with your wrong. So again, he's saying that Babaji is saying that a human being cannot reject a right. It is not possible to uh, uh, agree and disagree. Like it is basically the Jeevan is listening to this, so it is not possible for someone to disagree with something which is right, and it is not possible for agreeing something which is wrong. So that is what he's saying here. That which is wrong for you as it is for me. We are united in the right, and this is how I understood. Okay. Our well-being becomes assured only in the form and from the understanding. It is only through understanding that we become happy and prosperous. With understanding, we live orderly in the present, and it is through understanding that we establish coexistence as a tradition. So I think we can just pause here and just try to ponder the depth of this sentence actually. Understanding basically is the coexistence that we are in. We live with this understanding, we live orderly in the present. So again, a very beautiful sentence. When we understand orderliness, we will stop overproducing. Right now, what is happening is that two things are happening. We are overproducing, and indeed, in the process, not allowing the earth and its cycles to replenish itself. So, like for example, if you have evaporation, and then there's condensation, and then the clouds form, and then the water falls down. So now imagine that cycle is happening, and then we are somewhere trying to accelerate the natural processes, or maybe we are just trying to see that we are evaporating the air, sorry, the water, and before it turns to clouds, we are still, capturing in the middle, or maybe we are messing up with the cycles. So I remember in my farming years when I was doing the farming, there is this moong dal was actually being sold, and the desi beej was taking somewhere around 6 months to mature. So the moong dal was taking 6 months to mature. Now there was another moong dal which is on the market that was growing and maturing by the third month, and so basically you can harvest after 3 months. So obviously, who is somebody who's profit oriented or profit minded will actually go for that because they will get a harvest sooner and they will be able to grow something else in that same plot of land. Now, as a technical minded person, there are a lot of examples like this. There are like coconuts which are growing very small height and they start flowering very quickly, and then they don't go too high, and they also get a lot of coconuts inside it. So that is also another example. So when you see if, the natural seeds or the seeds that are of the old tradition, those seeds were taking 6 months to mature, and now suddenly they are hybrid seeds, or they are seeds developed in the gene therapy or whatever it is. They are taking 3 months to mature. So there is something amiss, because when we see that the cycle is also not right in that. But we see that the nutrient portion of that is somewhere maybe even lesser than 50%. So what is supposedly the point of food, which is nourishment, is now weighed against with literally weight. Like, okay, it is moong dal, it is a particular weight, so it goes to the market with that rate. But then nutrition value, okay, maybe it's just 50% less. But that's not a problem because we are still being driven by the mansikta or the mindset of profit orientation. So again, we are seeing that we are not living in the orderliness or in the cycles, and we are seeing that we are just going after the profit. So we are not living in the present. It also means that we are also profiting from the future or from the of like we have lived on the past for so many years. Even right now, what are we living on? We are living on oil, the petrol, the diesel. These are all the resources or the vyavasthas or the orderliness, not even resources. They are orderlinesses of the past that they have been kept there. And now we are exploiting that, and we are yeah, misusing that almost because we are pumping it out more and more and not knowing why it was placed there in the first place, or why it was um, what is the purpose it was there in the first place. And when I say the future, I mean that the future is like when you exploit the land and you crop more and more, and you remove the water by force, and then you put it into the irrigation system, and then you crop again and again. Before it was three crops per year, like on the and then the summer times there were no crops being grown. Now there are, six crops in a year. There are people who are doing six crops in a year, in that same plot of land. So this is basically from the future we are taking out the resources. So yeah, I thought of giving this example of how we are not living in the present actually by over exploiting the things, and also the living on the past resources, on the past designs, not resources. I keep on saying resources, but their past orderliness kept there for a reason and for a purpose, and we are just burying in and trying to pump it out and say it is a resource, say it is an oil, is a reservoir for accounting GDP and all those things. Yeah, so we just have a couple of minutes. We can stop here, and maybe we can share a few thoughts, or maybe a question, or something like that we can discuss.
It was good, good things we discussed today regarding Jeevan
Mm.
and resolution and four forms. So those
Yeah,
were good points to understand.
yeah.
And we have to see that orderless is required by the human beings, which is the most evolved.
Mm.
And
Mm.
like we discussed today, it will come with determination.
Mm.
The basic tendency is not that to be determined, but
Yeah.
yes, once we have the decision to be determined and to move in the orderliness, then that will
Mm.
be a right way
Mm.
of living, that is harmonious way of living.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Yeah.
You added many more things to that.
I I sometimes get overwhelmed and sometimes also get overbound by the examples that I want to give, so that we can understand that that small glitches that we are making, and that's how we are. I keep on bringing the farming things up because that's only examples I think that are best fitting. And indeed, it is such a simple thing to do the farming if we do it right. We just have to understand variety, and we can do it right. And we are just focused on the British way of doing the things and just doing one sort of plantation. We are still thinking we have to pay taxes. That's why we are doing the cash crops. Even we are not even growing the food that we need to eat at home. We are growing a cash crop. We are taking that money, then going to the market to buy something. So this is the position of the farmer even. So I thought I'll just bring those
Bhaiya,
things.
I have sent you few essays. I will
Yes.
be sending more. So
Okay.
kindly check it as early as
Yeah.
possible.
Yes. Yes. Brilliant. I have got one or two. I think are very good ones. Yes, I will
Hmm.
definitely do that part.
They are from the group 5, those who are postgraduate or teachers or
Okay.
Madhyas Darshan Adhyatas.
Okay. Great.
Hmm.
Great. But yeah, so hoping to meet you all again tomorrow. And it was a great discussion today. Let's have all of us have a good night. Thank you for joining.